10 topics on microeconomics. 1. The impact of AI-based pricing on consumer welfare. 2. Consumer behavior in the subscription economy. 3. The economics of remote work and employee productivity. 4. Dynamic pricing and consumer decision-making. 5. Market power and competition in digital platforms. 6. The economics of the gig economy and freelance work. 7. Consumer responses to inflation and economic recession. 8. Behavioral biases in online shopping decisions. 9. The impact of automation on firm-level productivity. 10. Information asymmetry in online marketplaces. 10 topics on macroeconomics. 1. The impact of artificial intelligence on economic growth and productivity. 2. Inflation persistence in the post-pandemic global economy. 3. Interest rates and economic growth in a high-debt economy. 4. The future of monetary policy in the age of digital currencies. 5. Public debt sustainability in developed and developing economies. 6. The economic effects of population aging and declining birth rates. 7. Supply chain disruptions and macroeconomic stability. 8. Income inequality and long-term economic growth. 9. Fiscal policy effectiveness during economic uncertainty. 10. The impact of geopolitical conflicts on global economic growth. 10 topics on energy economics and transition. 1. Offshore wind auction design and strategic bidding behavior. 2. Electric vehicle charging infrastructure gaps and adoption elasticity in rural areas. 3. Utility death spiral risk from distributed solar and net metering reform. 4. Cross-border electricity interconnection economics in regional power pools. 5. Demand response programs and peak load pricing effectiveness. 6. Geothermal energy cost declines and untapped market potential. 7. Coal plant retirement timing and stranded worker retraining economics. 8. Green hydrogen export corridors and comparative advantage among exporting nations. 9. Energy efficiency retrofit subsidies and rebound effect measurement. 10. Microgrid economics for last-mile electrification in remote communities. 10 topics on climate economics and environmental policy. 1. Consumption expenditure patterns and household CO2 footprints in South Asia. 2. Carbon pricing design under political constraints. 3. Climate migration and internal displacement economics. 4. Adaptation finance gaps in low-income countries. 5. Green central banking and climate risk in monetary policy. 6. Deforestation economics and land use policy trade-offs. 7. Extreme weather events and agricultural productivity shocks. 8. Insurance market responses to climate risk repricing. 9. Circular economy transitions and firm-level cost structures. 10. Environmental Kuznets curve revisited with modern panel data. 10 topics on AI, technology and labor markets. 1. AI infrastructure demand and critical mineral extraction pressures. 2. Generative AI's effect on task displacement across skill levels. 3. Productivity paradox, measuring AI's contribution to GDP growth. 4. Data center energy demand and local electricity price effects. 5. Platform economy gig worker bargaining power. 6. Automation and reshoring of manufacturing employment. 7. AI adoption gaps between advanced and developing economies. 8. Remote work persistence and urban real estate valuation. 9. Skill-biased technological change in emerging market labor markets. 10. Algorithmic pricing and antitrust implications. 10 topics on development economics. 1. Microfinance sustainability post-pandemic in Bangladesh and South Asia. 2. Remittances, household consumption smoothing, and exchange rate pass-through. 3. Informal sector taxation and state capacity building. 4. Rural electrification and non-farm enterprise formation. 5. Female labor force participation constraints in emerging economies. 6. Urbanization and slum formation economics. 7. Foreign aid effectiveness and conditionality design. 8. Financial inclusion via mobile money in low-income regions. 9. Education quality gaps and long-run earnings in developing countries. 10. Infrastructure investment and regional convergence in South Asia. 10 topics on trade and international economics. 1. Reshoring and friendshoring effects on global value chains. 2. Trade fragmentation and bloc formation post-2020's geopolitical shifts. 3. Exchange rate regimes and export competitiveness in small open economies. 4. Non-tariff barriers and their effect on agricultural exports. 5. Digital trade governance and cross-border data flow economics. 6. Sanctions regimes and third-country trade diversion. 7. Regional trade agreements' effect on FDI location decisions. 8. Currency substitution, dollarization, pressures in high-inflation economies. 9. Trade and environmental standards, pollution haven, hypothesis revisited. 10. Supply chain resilience versus efficiency trade-offs. 10 topics on macroeconomics and monetary policy. 1. Inflation persistence post-pandemic supply shocks. 2. Central bank digital currencies and monetary transmission. 3. Fiscal dominance risk in high-debt emerging economies. 4. Sovereign debt restructuring frameworks for climate-vulnerable states. 5. Interest rate normalization effects on emerging market capital flows. 6. Labor market tightness and the shifting Phillips curve. 7. Housing affordability crises and monetary policy trade-offs. 8. Public debt sustainability under demographic aging. 9. Unconventional monetary policy unwind effects on asset markets. 10. Inflation expectations formation in low financial literacy populations. 10 topics on applied econometrics and causal inference methods. 1. Geographic regression discontinuity design applications in resource economics. 2. Synthetic control methods for policy evaluation with sparse donor pools. 3. Machine learning for heterogeneous treatment effect estimation. 4. Spatial spillovers in panel fixed effects models. 5. Instrumental variable innovations for weak instrument problems. 6. Difference in differences with staggered treatment timing, modern estimators. 7. Bunching estimators for behavioral responses to policy thresholds. 8. Text as data methods in economic policy analysis. 9. Event study designs for financial market reactions to climate disclosures. 10. Bayesian structural models for forecasting under uncertainty. 10 topics on health and behavioral economics. 1. Long COVID's impact on the mental health and productivity of the labor market. 2. Sin taxes, sugar, tobacco, and consumption substitution effects. 3. Health insurance design and moral hazard in universal coverage rollouts. 4. Behavioral biases in household debt accumulation. 5. Aging populations and long-term care financing models. 6. Food security policy and nutritional transition economics. 7. Vaccine hesitancy as an economic and information problem. 8. Air pollution's effect on cognitive performance and productivity. 9. The economic costs of air pollution and public health. 10. Economics of artificial intelligence and healthcare efficiency. 10 topics on public economics and political economy. 1. Universal basic income pilot outcomes and labor supply effects. 2. Wealth tax feasibility and capital flight responses. 3. Political polarization's effect on public investment cycles. 4. Corruption, state capacity, and public service delivery. 5. Decentralization and local fiscal capacity in federal systems. 6. Housing policy and intergenerational wealth inequality. 7. Pension system reform under demographic and fiscal pressure. 8. Mobile banking and economic development in low-income countries. 9. Digital technology adoption and small business growth. 10. Urbanization and economic transformation in developing economies. 10 topics on energy-adjacent and regional economies, South Asia focus. 1. Bangladesh's CNG to EV transportation transition costs and benefits. 2. Consumer behavior and emissions in emerging Asian middle classes. 3. Regional water-energy food nexus tensions in South Asia. 4. Cross-border electricity trade potential in South Asia. 5. Garment sector automation and employment in Bangladesh. 6. Climate resilience financing for coastal Bangladesh. 7. Agricultural productivity and groundwater depletion trade-offs. 8. Remittance-driven housing booms in secondary cities. 9. Informal credit markets and rural investment decisions. 10. Special economic zones and industrial policy effectiveness in South Asia.